everybody to our monthly Rural Ecosystems Connect call. I'm hoping, I was kind of hoping my teammate Claire would be able to join and talk a little bit about what we're doing with our working groups and our hubs. But let's start with you, Winnie, if you want to give a quick update and then maybe introduce Virginia and share a little bit about what's going on in PA.
Sure. Yeah. So I'm in Pennsylvania. I work with Pennsylvania Statewide After School Youth Development Network. And I want to introduce my colleague, Jenny. She's working on the development of a new ecosystem called Central Susquehanna. Jenny, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, great. Thank you so much for letting me join today. I'm just getting back to work really with the CSIU. We had a PA Smart grant that started in 2019, I believe. And with the timing of the pandemic, everything kind of came to a grinding halt in March, and our funding ran out. They just were awarded a second round of that grant, and that started in May. So kind of just back to the drawing board here. We're really thinking about how to restart the ecosystem, and we had a really great collaboration. It came together pretty quickly in a couple months, and we had some really good productive sessions. And then so now we're just trying to rebuild that and relaunch that. So Winnie's graciously helping to think about how we do that, and then also just wanted to learn from other people who are in similar settings, the challenges of being in a rural setting. So I'm looking forward to learning from you all.
I just want to add one quick thing. We have our Pennsylvania State ecosystem going strong, and we're having a planning retreat in June, but we have a coalition with over 900 people regularly attending professional development and sharing sessions. And it's great to see everyone. Thank you. Have a great summer.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of feed off that, the 900 Coalition for the Teacher Educators. Do you want to give any kind of tips on how you keep those educators connected and motivated?
Well, most of them already belong to ecosystems across Pennsylvania, and we surveyed people last year and to collect a variety of topics, and we also record our sessions and have a resource area, so people contribute to that, and we keep our list up to date. I say that's one of the things is making sure that people can come and go as they please. But I think people in Pennsylvania are hungry for connectivity and team building and working together. So we're in a good place.
That's wonderful. Thank you. John, you're next on my list. Would you like to give a quick update?
Sure. We all came back to the office June 1st, which was great. It's nice to be face to face and see everybody after 15 months of being away. Going through our strategic planning, looking at kind of how we can shift some of our workload to our ecosystem partners, so we're not trying to do everything ourselves. So we're kind of in a transitional period right now, which is exciting, and it's great because we have some really good partners that are going to help us out.
That's excellent. Yeah, I think that's definitely the key as we kind of rebuild or restructure, like how can we work a little smarter now?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. So Sadie, you're next on my list of ecosystem representatives. Would you like to say hello?
Good morning, everyone. So I am with the National Math and Science Initiative. So we work across the country in many different school districts and many different STEM ecosystems. And usually my colleague Sarah Lykin is on these calls, but I'm stepping in for her today. So I'm just happy to be here to learn and collaborate with you all. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah, I think in the future too, Winnie, maybe we come up with a guiding question for each call that might help us, kind of prepare and come with something special to share. So thank you for being here, Sadie. It's nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So Tamara, you're next. Is it Tamara or Tamara?
Hi, it's Tamara. I answered anything though. So just quickly introducing. I'm with Girl Start. I'm with Girl Start. We do STEM education for girls.
Oh, excellent. Can you tell us a little bit more about what the program is?
Maybe we have after school programs reaching approximately 90 schools in 3 different states. We have summer camp programs that are reaching about 1,000 girls now in 8 states. We're kicking off our summer camp next week, so it's a great time.
Excellent. We have Saba on. Do you want to say hello, Saba?
Yes, good morning, everyone. I am from Central Mass STEM Network Ecosystem. I serve on 2 federally funded grants. One of them is the Upward Bound Math and Science, and the other one is the North Central Mass Talent Search. Together, we serve a total of 1,200 kids from in middle and high school. Happy to be among you all. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. We have Tara on. Tara Henderson. Want to say hello? All right. Jenny, Jenny, right? Jenny already said hello. So what about Lori Rogers? Would you like to say hello?
Hi, everyone. Lori Rogers. I'm from Aaron Intermediate Unit 28, and I participate with the group out of Penn State, New Ken, the ABC Create. I'm not really a leader in it, but I'm trying to infiltrate some of our other school districts and get them pushed that way. So I'm just here to listen to see what everybody else is doing.
Absolutely. That's what we're all about. Just connect today and kind of, share what we can. Usually we spend about a half an hour just kind of introducing, finding out what's happening in your area, cool things you want to share. And then we, like I said, normally keep it at a half an hour, but we had some recommendations to go an hour if continuing to grow. So
Yeah, no, I know that, I don't know if there's anybody on here from ABC Create, but I know they had a lot of virtual sessions that were pretty well attended since, pandemic times. So they're definitely quite a presence and are moving forward.
excellent. I see Dale, you're next on my image list. If you'd like to say hello.
Sure. Hi, everybody. My name's Dale McCready. I'm at the Discovery Center in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is a children's museum. We're also the lead for the Tennessee Girls Collaborative Project. And unfortunately, I'm gonna have to jump off at 10:30 for another meeting, but I'm glad to see you all. And we aren't actually involved right now as part of an official ecosystem, but I keep jumping on all these calls because they're so interesting. Thank you.
Oh, welcome. Everybody's welcome. So William, you're up next on my list. You want to say hello?
Good morning. My name is William Clark. You can all call me Bill. I'm the superintendent of schools in the Northeast Bradford School District in northeastern Pennsylvania. Reaching out to the central Pennsylvania ecosystem as well as the southern tier ecosystem in New York State in Corning area. Is our small rural school district here in Bradford County is really trying to become stronghold in STEM education as we build our programs from the ground up. So I'm here to learn and to copy as much as I possibly can. I do attend the PA SMART and the STEM opportunities through the Pennsylvania Department of Education with Judd Pittman. So we're in the learning phases on how we can really build a robust STEM opportunity here for our kids.
Well, I just want to take a moment to say welcome specifically and personally, because I'm actually from Southern Tier, Western New York. I grew up in just outside of West Clarksville. So I went to Bolivar Richburg. So Bradford, it's right around the corner. So pretty cool. But yay, good to see you. Go rural. Daniel, you want to say hello?
Hello, it's good to see everybody again. Coming in, looking for opportunities to connect. I'm with 21st Cent Ed Tech Trip. We love to connect with school districts and STEM ecosystems to provide STEM education access and courses everywhere. And this is only my second time, and so still just trying to get my feet wet and learn what everybody's doing.
Excellent. Yeah, and stay connected, right? That's the biggest thing is who are you? And hey, do you need our help? So that's great to have you back. Sue, would you like to say hello?
Lynn. I'm going to say hi real quick because I have a phone call that I didn't expect. I'm here. I'm soaking wet. We needed the rain. We're gearing up for summer camps back in person, and every day it's changing. So pray for us. Thanks.
Thanks, Sue. Paul?
Yeah, hello, Paul Keitel. I'm with Fenworks Esports. I'm here in Fargo, North Dakota in the research park at North Dakota State University. And we just finished up a pilot program with 20 rural schools in North Dakota, worked through their CTE centers, and it was very successful, collected a lot of great data. And so we're actually, next Tuesday, we're going to the High School Activities Association to see if we can be named as the high school provider for the state of North Dakota. And we're also moving into Minnesota. So it's exciting times.
Yeah, congratulations. That's great.
Thanks.
Cal, you're on.
Hi, everybody. I'm Cal Manis. I am the project director for the Rural Activation and Innovation Network. It's a research program in Eastern Arizona with informal STEM learning. And I also work with the NASA Science Activation Project, so which is looking at broadening participation, and we're doing some work here in Arizona, Alaska, and North Carolina right now. So nice to see everybody and hear what's going on.
Excellent, thank you. And Victoria.
Good morning. Victoria Roan Horace with Explora in Albuquerque, New Mexico. I'm an educator. We work all over state, but my primary focus is the Four Corners area, which is the Navajo Nation, also other tribal communities. But we're kind of a rural state too. So we do like to get out as far as our Texas border areas and check out the mining town or the gas towns and bring STEM. It's right there. So
Yeah, right. No better place to start. Like, look at that huge thing. That is STEM every day. Great. That's nice for STEM career panels. I bet that would be an interesting way to engage with the corporations and individuals who work there who maybe don't even identify as STEM. So that's kind of what I want to talk about a little bit today. If you want to, first of all, just put your introduction in the chat box. So when I share out the notes, everybody will know who was here. So if you just want to introduce yourself in the chat, where you're from, so not everybody knows what each ecosystem represents. So if you put in there, Kelly, Arizona SciTech East ecosystem, and then maybe a little update about what's going on. It's just really nice. If people don't watch the video, then they can read the notes. But appreciate you all for being here today. As I said, our numbers kind of flux because you're free to come and go as you please. There's no requirement to attend. But today I kind of want to talk about STEM identity, and considering I have two of my teammates on, so I'll have Fritz and Dee introduce themselves. But this idea of how do you help encourage others to find their STEM identity when, for myself, I didn't join SciTech thinking I'm a STEM professional. So maybe kind of think about how do you encourage the rural communities to identify with STEM. Let's start with Fritz. Go ahead and introduce yourself and give your thoughts.
Hi everyone, my name is Fritz. I was in the middle of typing in my bio, and I work with the SciTech Institute, and I'm currently zooming in from Atlanta right now. And so what I do with the SciTech Institute is I am working with the STEM ecosystem coordination, and I help with a lot of sort of background. Administrative is not the right word, but spreadsheet orientated work. And so I've also been helping with the rubric for our STEM ecosystem community building, where it's an implementation tool for us to use when we talk to new organizations and stakeholders that would be interested in STEM ecosystems.
Excellent. And then any thoughts on how to encourage individuals to identify with STEM?
I think curiosity is a good way to let individuals find themselves interested in STEM by exposing them to what they find interesting. Some individuals might be more naturally inclined to find biology more interesting than physics or chemistry. Well, there's biochemistry, but finding out which niche of STEM is right for the individual, I think is really important in someone finding their STEM identity. And then they can really follow that niche and really follow what excites their curiosity. Those are my thoughts, right?
Excellent, thanks. Dee, would you like to say good morning?
Hi, good morning, everybody from Mesa, Arizona, where it's now 100 and, well, I heard this morning that by tomorrow we'll be hitting 108. So very excited about the summer. It's my favorite season of the year. I am with SciTech. I am the office/finance manager, and kind of like Kelly, I never considered myself a STEM person. To be honest with you, before I was hired with SciTech, I had heard of STEM. I was not very savvy about what it meant. But now that I have worked for SciTech for almost 2 years, and I've collaborated with the CSOs, and I'm helping with the integration into Mexico, I can tell you that this has turned out to be the best decision that I've ever made, to work for SciTech and to learn about STEM and to get excited about the future with STEM and being able to, explore all the opportunities with all of our kiddos that we're reaching out to.
Excellent, thank you. So I posed a question, I put an exclamation point in the chat box, but I'm curious if anybody has any specific programming, or maybe we could consider this as an action item for our second rural ecosystems convening. I'd like us to host digitally. How do you promote student STEM identity? Or I know we had the superintendent on, thinking about how do you even establish a culture in an area that maybe doesn't necessarily recognize themselves as a STEM location. I find that where I came from, rural New York, I grew up on a farm, but I didn't think, oh, I know about cows, that's biology. Like I didn't put 2 and 2 together. So I'm wondering if you have any specific things you do in your ecosystems that promotes experience, and like Fritz said, finding some sort of, curiosity pathway that promotes passion. But Winnie, I see you're unmuted. Did you want to share something?
Sure, I had a couple thoughts. The first thing is youth voice. I think that's so important, getting youth involved, helping them understand the engineering design model and apply that thinking to everything that they do. And then the other thing that we're doing a research project with California University Irvine, and that looks at the relationship between keeping continuity of projects, keeping activities going for girls. So it seems like a lot of cases, kids will do one thing and then they'll have a break, and it may be difficult to get into another STEM activity or another to build that identity. And the way they build identity is having different experiences and different roles in those projects, so that they can fully understand their strengths and opportunities, and again, having that voice. So the research study just started, and we have several sites in PA that are participating, and I think it's going to be really interesting to see what happens.
Excellent, thank you. Paul, did you have something you wanted to share?
Well, with FenWorks, the approach we take is engagement. We have so many students that are not participating in any school activities, especially in rural areas. And when we survey schools, we're looking to engage those students that are not participating in any school activities at all. If we survey a school that has 400 middle school students, we might find that there are 65 students who have never participated in a school activity before. So we're really pushing to get those students to make friends, develop a sense of community, get out of the house, think about health and wellness rather than sitting in front of a computer game for 6 to 8 hours, and how they can change their life by looking at, during our programs, besides having competitions with the students with video games, we also provide health and wellness. We get students to learn how to get up and stretch, get outside, eat right. We get them into career pathways through video games like computer science, video game design, making YouTube videos. There's a lot of things that we do to try to encourage these students to find career pathways through gaming.
Yeah, I think you said community, which I thought was a really important word, especially from the rural communities. We've talked about rural ecosystem work, that it's not necessarily come in and save us. It's more build a community around awareness and acknowledgement and understanding what the community has to offer already. I think, Winnie, that kind of went back to your asset mapping. And then I know from Cal's, Cal and who was on his? Was it Mary Margaret that was in the broadening engagement? Or no, and Beth, I think, was on there too. But the idea of broadening engagement from not only business and industry, but then also, the parent population, the local library, really building around that. So any other thoughts from anybody else on the call? What's your approach to building identity? Victoria, you want to go ahead?
Yeah. So in New Mexico, we have our tribal communities. And so right now we have an IMLS grant that we are using to do interviews, natives in STEM interviews. And with it, we actually have a graphic recorder. So she's going to be drawing out these interviews. So like these key points from their I guess their career pathway, if you will. And so she's going to be doing that for us. What we want to have native children, native families see is that yes, they can be a STEM professional. And also in our previous work, we have brought to, kind of like, you guys, your culture has a science to it. Textiles, there's chemistry, there's biology, there's so much going on that they don't really have a STEM lens to. So we're just kind of like, oh, this is science. You've been doing science, your whole life. Another one we've done is Aztec. We've done other interviews, the If Then project. We've done interviews with other STEM professionals. We are big on building community assets. So we for example, Silver City. Silver City is in southern New Mexico, southwest New Mexico. Relatively small, have some mining out there. They have a quarry close to, not that close to the Mexican border, but it's pretty close. So just kind of letting them realize, like, okay, let's build your STEM community assets. What is in your community? What do you see? Who can we bring to the table to provide not only STEM programming, but you can see as a partner. So we've really targeted like libraries as hubs, because that's where most of the community goes, right? For education, for any community news. And so that's where we've targeted in rural communities as well as tribal.
I think that's a great point. The work with libraries, we've been focusing on a library working group. And so that's kind of how we're utilizing the silver lining of digital engagement, of starting a different working groups with different topics from people all around the state digitally, but then also, as you mentioned, those hubs focusing on, community development. Really, we're gonna, as Frisk mentioned, the rubric, right? Evaluate what you have and then pick one thing that we can facilitate and guide, or even, promote understanding of how do you increase a certain aspect from the rubric. So excellent. Yeah, I absolutely think the library is an underused resource. So excellent. Thank you all for being on. I know some of you have to jump at the half hour, but is there anybody else that would like to share? Oh, Bill, you
Hey,
unmuted and you put on your camera. That means you want to talk.
Yeah, so maybe I'm trying to bite off more than I can chew up here in our little school district. So we've done some research and collected some data here in our school. Our school has about 700 kids K through 12 in our high school over the last 6 years. Primarily our number one area for career development. Kids are largest percentage of kids are going into health sciences. The second largest group of kids for us is the agricultural industry. Third largest for us will be the human, what am I trying to say here? Teachers.
Yeah, I was going to say
types.
social work, like social awareness. Yeah.
And then we're growing in the engineering field. So we've tried to have a focus here. We've done a lot of work in our agriculture program. We do have an AgMech program. We got most recently 2 programs certified CTE programs within our system. We're really trying to reach out and branch out to try to bring these things to our kids. We are a recipient of the 21st Century CCLC grant, so we're utilizing summer programming and our after-school programming to introduce kids to sciences, work with a variety of people. We use the CCLC to bring in outside agencies to work with our kids. Also, we've really tried to reconnect our relationship with the Pennsylvania 4-H, especially to develop our agriculture program and we utilize them in our after school. So we're trying to develop those kind of things. A lot of things with the new next gen science standards in Pennsylvania are very focused in environmental science. So we're reached out to Tamara Palferman from PDE to come in and work with our science department, as well as become a member of the new, can't remember the title, what we're doing a science study and learning how to address your science needs throughout our school. Our challenge is I have one chemistry teacher. I have one biology teacher. Trying to get kids all those opportunities. Just wrote a grant, another grant to try to incorporate, like what Paul was talking about, EA Sports in our programs and how to get that and entice kids to stay after school. They're not, our athletics participation is dropping like most schools across the country. So what else is out there for kids? So we're trying to provide a lot of things. And because we're small, I think I got our hands in too many pots almost at sometimes is trying to develop all these things at the same time. So initiative fatigue, I think it's called. But I think it's what's best for our school moving forward. So those are just some of the things we have going on as far as STEM and science development within our community. They're just all in infantile stages. Winnie, thanks for reaching out. What will help me is what can you do to help guide me to maybe get my focus set and build out from there is kind of what I'm looking for.
And I think you run into same 10 people, right? So this is a rural challenge of, you're lucky you have a chemistry and maybe you said biology teacher. Some places that's the same person, K-12. So if it's really rural. So I think that's a great point. I know Winnie, you were going to respond too. So same 10 is a rural issue.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to talk over you. One of the things that I think this is where ecosystems come in. You make connections, and rather than trying to do everything yourself, connect with people and build networks so that you can depend on people that are already doing something very well and can assist you, and you can assist them. So that's why I love ecosystems so much, particularly in rural areas, because I find in rural areas, people are genuinely, they realize that resources are scarce. So they want to make the best connection. And when they do, the connections really stick. In the more urban cities, it's very difficult to get certain kinds of connections to last, like with businesses. So yeah, so I mean, there are advantages, and yeah. So Bill, I want to connect you with our state coalition that Judd and PSSE lead. So I will send you a way to join.
Thank you, Winnie.
Yeah, and the cool part about it now, Bill, you have all of these new friends. So even though I'm in Arizona, there's great ways to connect with all of us. And this is this is a snapshot of the larger Brado ecosystems that you're connected to, that, you know, there's opportunity to entice. I used to be a math teacher, so I don't know if anybody else is a former educator on the call, but the idea of most classroom teachers go in their room, do their work, don't really understand the bigger picture. Like maybe they zoom out to the county and your IUs, but maybe they don't realize what's at the state level and then the nationwide level, like these NASA education grants. Holy cow, it's already organized. The curriculum's already developed. Just show your students. And Winnie made a great point of student voice. If you can coach 2 or 3 of them to lead as students teaching students, you know, and I really think that's, again, from Upward Bound and some of the activities that most rural schools have, FFA, FHA, FBLA, there's a great way to kind of bring the students in where the adult can just be the coach advisor type role. So just some potential there as you start kind of lifting off. Remember, you can always stay connected with us and, you know, reach out if there's other ways. Maybe Paul can help with the EA stuff. I know there's great assets here. All right. So like I said, if anybody had to leave, we normally kept it to 30 minutes. I added on that 30 if anybody wanted to continue to share, have any other additional ideas about STEM identity or what you're doing to promote avoiding the same 10 people doing all of the work in your rural area. Maybe that's you. I found it was me 2 years ago, like trying to do everything. And, you know, we're really trying to grow our program staff. So thanks for Fritz for coming on and really, you know, building our rural educator list. Maybe you want to talk about how you went through and, you know, cultivated over 6,000 rural education emails.
Well, I had the help from, well, the initial starting point was I communicated with an individual named Eugene at Arizona State, and he wanted a large STEM educator list for the state of Arizona to then send out a survey. And how I went through it was he put together the skeleton framework of here are all the counties, or here are all the here are all the school districts. And the methodology was I Googled each district in Google Chrome and found the school district homepage and went to each school individually. And I had a Google Chrome app that could extract emails from web pages. And so I would find the staff and administrative people page, and I would use this Google Chrome app, and it would extract all of the emails and put it in one easy copy paste section. And I would try and capture the educators and leave out the administration and the support staff of the schools. And I would put all these together in a big school list. And so that it was more and so that's methodology other than going through and doing it was interesting seeing how certain school districts were different than others. You could even tell just the way a website was built. I think a website is a very important indicator as far as a website matters is what I'm getting at, because you can see a lot. It says in the way that people have social media, the things that the way you build your social media presence, your internet presence, your online presence is scarily enough, maybe not for us, our generation, like my generation forward, it's not necessarily as important as it's going to be for the generation under that came after me. Even my little sister, who was 4 years younger than I would not want to go to high school in that era, like, because you're viewed in person is directly correlated with how your presence online is. And you can see it. You can see it at the individual level, just the way people interact with each other. Not so much us, our generation above. Mine does definitely, but not as much as the younger kids. And so that's interesting. Anything else?
Segue there too. So how do we help rural,
Okay.
rural schools on web development, right? Are there suggestions that you would, for rural school districts that maybe they're one district, but it's really one school? That's how mine worked. We
Right.
were the district. Is there suggestions that you would include on a website and or maybe to the ecosystems on the call? Like, how do you feel about your own website? Do you feel like you're providing enough information or resources about what's available, or how do you contact your participants? But Fritz, what are some thoughts?
Okay. I think that functionality is key. If the website is fundamentally, if it's functional, that's great. I think that should be more important than making it flashy. And then if it's functional, that works. But when you get to the website, if you want to take it to the next level, I suppose adding rounded edges makes a difference. You can tell when a website looks like it's from the 90s, and you can tell when a website seems contemporary, like as if there was a recent person hired within the last 2 years to build a fresh website. You can tell freshness. If it's functional, that's great. But to stand out, there's a freshness online, seeing that there is from the rural ecosystems that, like you said, Kelly, had one school there, had less freshness than, say, some of the more populated that had hundreds of students and many teachers. They're really interact like drop down. They're really interact with like drop down boxes with schools, and then those schools had further drop down. And so maybe there's a level of complexity that goes into these.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's based on, do they have a tech support person who does the website?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that's, again, back to that challenge of rural. Do we have a chemistry teacher, or do we have a tech teacher? And most don't. They don't have, a district member of the staff that's managing the school website. It's probably the office manager or somebody, or maybe it's the tech club. So flashy, I think that's something we could consider, on the upward ends of the ecosystem as a whole. Like, wonder if we kind of had rural check out their websites and see if there's something about this engagement, maybe a rubric piece of that. Like, are you really showcasing yourselves? Yes, Fritz, did you raise your hand?
I did. I think so schools oftentimes have yearbook clubs or a yearbook committee. I think that delegating website upkeep to a yearbook committee type student body, teaching them coding skills, teaching them how to manipulate websites and how to manipulate code and change simple things as font and color, and some of the more nuanced website manipulations. That's STEM. That's interacting with, that's technology. That's practical technology rather. That's why advanced manufacturing is advanced. That's specialized niche, but in a world where online presence matters, having that having practical
Application.
experience exactly with working with websites is important. Even talking to an employer or talking to anyone, it's like I at least know how to work my way around a website and can update even the basic things. That's phenomenal.
I can only do it because we have Elementor. But I think that's Sadie definitely put in there. It's a great idea. Like that's why I'm kind of posing zoom out to the whole ecosystem network. There might even be companies that would be interested in supporting or mentoring those groups of students that could help with a rural website or, the yearbook club. Or I agree that there's so much. I don't know. Did you guys still print yearbooks? Your schools still do that? I'm sure there still are some places that make yearbooks, but there are things that are becoming more obsolete. Like they used to be hardcover. We paid like $30 for our yearbook, whereas now they're a little bit more like a magazine. So, because it's just not the same culture. So I'm wondering if that could be something neat. Sadie, did you want to add anything?
No, I like the idea of finding creative ways to accomplish things in rural ecosystems that you might not have the same challenges in big urban settings, where you have industry folks that might be able to step in and say, hey, I'm going to make your website for you. So what a great strategy of, leveraging your students, and, you're accomplishing the same thing of creating a website, but you're also giving the students the opportunity to learn those skills and to have an experience. So just like Fritz was saying, having the students work on the website, they're learning coding, they're learning STEM, they're gaining those experiences, but also then you have a website being updated and upkept for your ecosystem. So I love that creativity and connection and skill building for students. And I think that could be applied in a lot of ways. So bringing the students into the ecosystem itself, and not just the ecosystem serving the students, I think just makes it that much more high functioning.
Yeah, I agree. I think we've really been focusing on making sure the adult's not the one in the way too, of like, I want to control, and I still have this issue of like, okay, I'm going to make sure I know what I'm doing and then pass it off, where somebody probably has the skills and understands it already. Just give it to them. There's that boundary that we create for ourselves, that if we allow that collaboration, I think it could be really powerful as well. Dee, you unmuted. Did you want to say something?
Well, I was just maybe wanting to wonder out loud. A lot of towns have local community colleges, and you've got kids that are studying to be, to work in technology. And so maybe you can reach out to those classes, and maybe somebody wants to do some freelance work to be able to put on their resume that they worked on your website, and gain some experience that way. And, you could write them a reference letter or whatever, but you could reach out to the local community college to help with their websites.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Even, in the bigger universities might want to help, since the PA group is tied with Penn State, and you have these, we have ASU that potentially could do a very similar outreach project that, I think that's an excellent idea to utilize the ecosystem network as well. So didn't know where that was going, Fritz, but it really kind of stimulated another, opportunity for us to think outside the box. So thanks for sharing.
Sure. Kelly, I got a couple of comments.
Oh, go ahead.
This is Paul. Yeah, we mentioned, I guess when I was talking about the esports and our education sessions, we do teach coding as well. The students also work on developing a Discord server where their competitions are held. So maybe not everybody's familiar with that, but they put together their teams and their competitions, and coding is involved. But and developing video game design also requires a coding process. Something else I've worked with even outside of the esports is that in Wisconsin and Minnesota, I've worked with a couple of schools that actually have manufacturing plants in their high schools, where the 6th and 7th hour of the day, the students go to the manufacturing plant that's built into the high school, and the students run the manufacturing plant. And the local businesses, Perham, Minnesota is a great example. They have Tuffy's dog food, they have Kenny's Candies, they have Bonguard cheese, they have Kitmaster, which builds clutches for international trucks. All these businesses have donated equipment and time and skills to the schools, and these students report to work every day during the 6th and 7th hour of school. They get paid. The older students are the managers, and like you said, there is a staff member who kind of steps out of the way and makes sure that everything is safe and secure. But they developed this from another school called Elvis Drum, Wisconsin, extremely rural school in the state of Wisconsin. And when I went to visit that school with the Perham group, because they wanted to copy that in Minnesota, it really blew me away. It was just phenomenal what these kids were doing, running CNC lathes. That you wouldn't think that sophomores, juniors, and seniors in high school would be doing, but there's some incredible things that are going on out there. So thanks for letting me share.
Yeah, I think that's a great point of, all this, the CTE, opportunity available. Like we could even start younger in this idea of, what do we want them to know, and building the STEM identity. Yesterday, I taught kindergarten through 5th graders, kind of a summer school class. And I was still surprised how many did not know what STEM stood for. And then the idea of becoming an engineer, the kindergartners had paper towel rolls and pipe cleaners. And you could not believe the cool things that they designed and created and built with pipe cleaners, but the level of imagination and, I had no idea I could, that changed when I was working with the 5th graders of, can you help me? I twist this, cut this for me. So I'm wondering if there's a very direct correlation of, continuing to let them do it, let them fail a little bit, and then, have that mentoring and that coach. But even bringing in those business and industry partners, to really support and guide, I think that's great. So welcome, Vic. We saw you pop on and you gave Paul a fist bump. Woohoo! Did you want to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about what's going on in your area?
Sure thing. Sorry about that. I was on a UT San Antonio staff meeting call. But yeah, so here in the University of San Antonio, Texas, I'm a project manager in the Small Business Development Center, closely aligned also with a nonprofit, Cyber Texas Foundation. And we work what we call K through Gray. So I'm the gray and they're the K. So we really try to promote competitions, club, community, curriculum, and classes that amplify opportunities to start engaging, our young population, and then our more seasoned population in what it takes for them to become more responsible in the space. So to Paul's point, we always talk about building a better website. Last year, we brought on some interns and I gave them free rein and said, what makes sense to you? So if building a better website doesn't connect with you, where should we be? And they said Discord. And so now Discord is now gaining more acceptance and more legitimacy as a 6-year-old company. And it's how we do our staff meetings now. Instead of getting on Zoom, we're on Discord. We did our annual San Antonio Mayor's Cup celebration on Discord. And we recorded all of the events, and then we showcased everything on the Discord channel. We had our live interaction with universities that had their virtual engagements with the students, and students that wanted to get an internship. There were companies that came in and they created a room and said, okay, we want to interview you and go through the whole process of meeting with you and sharing with you the opportunities to bring you into the space responsibly. So, when he said Discord, I'm like, yeah, you read my mind. So sometimes we get fixated in our, okay, we're gonna make this nice square space. It's a graveyard because nobody's going there. So let's make sure we find out where the conversation is going. And it's in Discord and other social media platforms, not to discount my friend Mark Zuckerberg or or my folks on Twitter, but there's a lot going on in Discord.
Oh, they definitely make fun of us if we use Facebook. Any reference to Facebook, like, oh God, that's old people. Go ahead, Paul.
I was just gonna say that's the main platform for our business, for the esports programs that we run is Discord. I wanted to ask Vic, have you worked with Alamo Colleges in San Antonio?
Yes, sir, sure did. So Joe Sanchez and myself, Joe Sanchez is now the executive director of the foundation. So he was the founder, and he is part of the board of the Alamo area colleges. So yes, sir.
I toured that when I was down there for an NSTA conference, and a number of years ago. I think it was 2015 or something like that. But I was really impressed with what Alamo Colleges is doing with the high schools in the area. Especially in the area.
Yeah. And if you did not know, Department of Labor has a grant from the ICF, I believe it was ICF anyway, but it's called Cyber Youth Apprenticeship Initiative, CYAI. And they have large dollars in which they're incentivizing internships and apprenticeships for high school and college students, undergraduate students, to get that pathway, that pipeline connection from the academic space into industry. And so if you weren't aware of that, Department of Labor and Alamo Colleges was a recipient in major ways in getting grants to subsidize getting students that opportunity, paid internships and experiences with business.
Excellent.
Great.
So we have just a few minutes left. If there's anybody else that wanted to share before we hop off the call today, really exciting conversations. I Googled Discord because I had no idea what you're talking about. Square box. Hey, I feel very competent at Zoom, and I know how to do some things on Elementor. I've come a long way in this COVID year, but I think that's another part of our challenge, right? We think we know where the conversation's happening, but is it really where it's happening? Because things are moving a lot quicker these days. And what I noticed with our educators, especially in rural, was that the students could run the online platform better than they could because there is a lot of challenge and teacher, even with Google Classrooms, we have a lot of teachers that are apprehensive. I don't know how to log in. I don't know how to toggle between my accounts. And the students are like, man, or I don't know how to share sound. What do I click? And I did that on WebEx because I struggle with WebEx compared to Zoom. And, I think there's a lot to be said there of our own anxieties about what's the platform? How do we use it? How long is it going to take me to learn it? But, hi, Sue, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to chime in there and say one of the things, we just had a big grant and we worked with 23 different counties. Therefore, in North Carolina, a county is a different school system. And, you couldn't get 3 of them to be using the same platforms. So we had to learn every platform, and some of them really stink. But I will say the bigger problem, I think, in our state for teachers was the legal responsibility for having minors on. And I think that caused them more stress than their ability to manage technology or not. It was like, am I managing it? Is anybody getting behind the wall? Is anybody, getting to a kid? And I heard that repeatedly in North Carolina from teachers.
Yeah, that's a great point. And then the whole idea of when there were, they locked everything down, so they couldn't even chat with each other, or they had to make sure videos were on and off at certain times. Yeah, and each platform, like you said, I'm sorry, but Microsoft Teams is the preferred platform for our, company, but it sucks the life out of my computer.
That's the worst one.
I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. And I will tell you, I don't know why, but I guess to have parties, our kids went back to school like the second week of April for 2 weeks. And the teacher said they sat in their desk like they were home alone. they're like so crushed by that isolating experience of learning through a screen that probably wasn't turned on. So we got some work to do to get them out of those shells. So I really have no idea what summer programs are going to be like. You know?
Well, I was in person yesterday and I was exhausted after K through 5th grade. And it was a lot of fun, but it was, you could tell they were just like, oh my gosh, a human, and talk to me, give me everything that you have. Well, again, thank you all for being here today. I appreciate you. I will gather the chat notes and I'll make the recording prep to send out to everybody. If you didn't put your intro in the chat box, go ahead and do that before we log off today. But I wanted to say thanks again for being connected. Rural rocks. Have a good day.